Welcome to Austria, a country worthy of a never-ending stream of superlatives thanks to its spectacular scenery, its cuisine, which can only be described as divine, in addition to its immense history. I've recently visited Austria on a short 5-day trip, and in this series of 6 videos, we're going to be sampling just a fraction of what this country has to offer, from the picturesque scenery of Hallstatt and the magical Salzburg that comes with an abundance of history, from Baroque architecture to being the birthplace of Amadeus Mozart. In addition, this series also contains some slightly more functional videos in relation to planning your trip, such as some of my tips on how to get around. And we're starting off in the capital, Vienna. Right, we're starting off this freezing cold video outside a Würstel stand, a sausage stand. Of course, sausages are immense in Austria, and as a Brit, Austria has always been a country I've always wanted to visit, because I think we all know that Austria has such an immense history relating to the development of Europe, you know, dating back to the Roman Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and also the Second World War and beyond. If you are from Europe and you're looking for maybe a short city break, probably not in the winter, Austria and Vienna itself are immense locations to visit, because there is architecture, there are galleries, there are museums, you name it, so much history to explore. You can do a Vienna pass to save a bit of money instead of just paying in every place for your entry. I haven't done that because it's not really something I want to do on this trip. I'm going to cover some bits now that are, you know, your top attractions to visit, and then we're going to go into some places that are slightly more off the beaten track and lesser known, as I like to do on this channel. So my top spots to visit in Vienna would be the St. Stephen's Dom, which is the St. Stephen's Cathedral. It's absolutely spectacular. From outside, the architecture is wonderful, and when you go inside, it's just so grand, so intricate, so exquisite. Obviously, it's slightly touristic, you know, it's a key attraction, as I said, in Vienna. So you will have that aspect of people everywhere taking photos, but that's life, you know. Additionally, you can go to the St. Peter's Kirche, St. Peter's Church, just round the corner, and actually I found this to be significantly more impressive, given that it was smaller. There were less people in there, surprisingly, and just the atmosphere in there, the fact that it was smaller, there was organ music playing, things like that. Beautiful. Christmas trees still up. It is the middle of January right now, so you know, those are two of my top places. There are history of art museums, natural history museums, the World Museum, the library, which we're going to go to later in this video, and a plethora of places such as the Rathaus, apologies for my German pronunciation, the town hall, you name it. So on that note, let's get going with showing you a bit more of those places, and then we're going to head to our first spot. We're also going to have some food in this video. Let's go! So it has been snowing ever so slightly this morning. It's very cold, but I think it adds to the lovely wintry feel in the middle of January, and we're heading to our first spot, which, like I said, is slightly off the beaten track. It's not particularly beautiful, but if you're interested in the Second World War, I find this absolutely fascinating. It's the thing that's in front of me in the middle of the screen. Let's go and have a closer look. It's a wonderful wintry scene in this park right now. There are people running around, walking their dogs. But we have come to see this. This is a Flak Tower. They were located throughout Germany during the Second World War, but there's also this one in Vienna and another one just over to the left in the distance, and they were used by the Nazis as above ground anti-aircraft towers, and they were used to deflect or fend off attacks from the Allied forces namely the RAF. And I've read that there were 3 located around Berlin in the shape of a triangle, and effectively they encompassed the whole city, so they could fend off attacks anywhere in the city. And these buildings are incredibly thick, 3 meters from what I understand, of concrete, so you can imagine they were quite strong in terms of its defensive capabilities. And they were also used as air raid shelters. They were equipped with radar, and many of them have been demolished, dismantled, destroyed over the years, but these ones still remain. And even though, like I said, it's not a particularly beautiful thing to see, actually I think it is. It's a reminder of the horrendous history that we've had in Europe over the last 100 years or so. Just had to put my camera over the fence to point this out. Never again. I think the graffiti on the Flak Tower is quite poignant. I was saying to an English student the other day that I was born 37 years after the end of the Second World War. That's how old I am now. And I think it just puts in perspective. We often think that the Second World War was millions of years ago, but actually it wasn't in the grander scheme of things. So coming to a place like this reminds you of that. I think this Flak Tower in Vienna is an absolute hidden gem. Make sure you come here when you come to Vienna. Is that a golden retriever or a Labrador? I never know the difference. But anyway, final thoughts. This really reminds me of the Duga radar, I think it was called, in Chernobyl. Just in terms of like a old remnant of the past. Spectacular. Look at it, man. Who says that travelling in the winter is a thing you shouldn't do? It's beautiful. A lovely wintry scene. And you know what we're going to do now? It's almost lunchtime. So we're going to head back to the centre and we're going to have some food. One of the many pieces of food in this video. It's going to be a long one, people. Sit tight. The architecture in Vienna is, of course, spectacular. Quite a variety of different coloured buildings like this around these market squares. So you have markets like this one. Obst und Gemüse, fruit and vegetables, wonderful. And yeah, you can get all sorts of things around here, as well as these markets where you can get like meat and cheese and fruit and vegetables. You can, of course, go to proper restaurants as well. Just look at that. I would describe Vienna as a real explorer's city, a bit like Naples in Italy. By that I mean you can just walk around without a map, get lost, explore, discover, and find these little streets, cobblestone streets with these interesting buildings, different colours. It's wonderful. Okay, no trip to Vienna would be complete without a visit to a Würstel stand, a sausage stand basically. And when we think of sausages, we think of German sausages, right? Bockwurst, Bratwurst, Currywurst. You know what, they exist in Austria too. And today we're going to have something a little bit different. Guten Abend, wie geht's? Ich möchte Ćevapčići mit Pommes, Box, yeah. You can of course get all your usual favourites. Bratwurst, as I mentioned. We have Currywurst down there, look at that, that's beautiful. But you know what we're going to do today, because I live in Belgrade at the moment, we're going to have something a little bit closer to home. Ćevapčići box mit Pommes. Look at that. Ja, ich habe Deutsch studiert, aber es war 20 Jahre lange Zeit. So mein Deutsch ist nicht so gut. Ah, wunderbar. Dankeschön. So this little place is by Karlsplatz U-Bahn. U-Bahn is the subway, tube, underground, whatever you want to call it. And we have Ćevapčići mit Pommes frites, chips and cevapi. With plenty of Ćevapčići. A taste of Belgrade in Germany, and not in Germany, in Austria, that's the one. Stunning. All that's missing is a bit of pita bread to go with it. That'll be exceptional, and so much sauce as well. Ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise. The perfect thing to eat on a cold January afternoon. Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. So after our lunch, we're now in the museums quarter. As I said earlier, there's a Weltmuseum, Kunsthistorisches Museum, Arts History, and World Museum, Natural History as well. But I'm heading to the Bibliothek, the library. I've heard a lot about this, I've read a lot about it. So let's take a look. Es kostet 8 euros. 8 euros. When I looked online, it did say 3 euros. Clearly that was an old website. Anyway, let's get going. So I bet you can understand why I wanted to visit the Österreichisches Nationalbibliothek. Spectacular. I've got no words. I love libraries, and that one completely blew me away. Firstly, it's 250 years since the birth of Beethoven. Who knew that? He was born in Bonn, right? But he lived in Vienna and studied in Vienna, I think. And there's a huge exhibition there, and detailing, you know, his life and achievements and things like that. And particularly for me, as an ex-clarinet player, I used to be in an orchestra. You know, especially close to my heart in terms of composers and the work that they did, and the artwork, the I can't even speak, the ceiling, ornate, exceptional. I always wonder, how the hell did they create that in such intricate detail? Absolutely spectacular. And just around the library as well, the stacks of books, I don't know what word I would use, but books like as high as the ceiling with those ladders, so you can climb up and get the books. And there was also information about like restoration of books and things like that, because obviously the books are very old, so they need work on them to keep them in tip-top condition. Really pleased I went there. It's made my day. Amazing. We're going to go to one other spot now and then have some more food before we end this video. We're on to the penultimate stop in this video. We're in Burgergarten, and as with the Flak Tower, when I was researching this video, I wanted to put things in this video that may not be on everyone's tourist trail, and that is to the right here. It's the Schmetterlingshaus. A Schmetterling is a butterfly. It's like a tropical enclosure for numerous butterflies. I love butterflies. I love them. Ever since I was in Argentina many years ago and saw these absolutely beautiful butterflies. So it's something I really want to do. So let's take a look. Oh wow, this is another amazing thing. Oh, there's a butterfly flying over my head. Another amazing thing in Vienna. I'm loving it. It's so weird to come in from like the freezing cold into like a tropical environment. My glasses have completely steamed up. I can't see anything. Wow. Beautiful. Okay, das war wunderbar, fantastisch. Ich denke, dass der Schmetterlingshaus sehr gut für Kinder ist, viele Schmetterlinge und Blumen. I think it's great for children. There's lots of butterflies and lots of flowers. And even though I'm an adult, you know, as I said before, I love butterflies. They're really pretty. The ones in there are huge, colourful, wonderful. I didn't see any monarch butterflies though. There were like feeding stations around as well, so you can take some good photos of butterflies feeding on like banana and stuff. There's a big tree house thing in the middle. And it's weird being in like a tropical environment in January in Vienna. But yeah, great thing to do, I think, to add to your Vienna list that you might not necessarily see everywhere. It's quite central as well. Brilliant. So we've got one more thing to talk about in this video. I actually did it last night because, in case you hadn't noticed, it's the next day. I've got a different t-shirt on. So let's talk about that. Now, as promised earlier, there is some more food in this video. So when you Google Vienna, you'll hear about Wiener Schnitzel. The other thing you'll hear about is Sachertorte, which is effectively a chocolate cake, but there's a lot more to it than that. It was invented by an Austrian Jewish guy called Franz Sacher in the early 1800s, and not only has it become famous throughout Austria, but also throughout the world. So in the US, there's even a Sachertorte Day. Can you believe it? The Sachercafe is part of the Sacher Hotel, very central. I chose to go at about 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, so obviously it was going to be busy. I had to wait outside for about 45 minutes to an hour to get in, but was it worth it? Absolutely. When you go in, it is very posh looking, you know, very high end, and there are chandeliers everywhere, portraits on the wall, the decor is beautiful, and when you sit down, you get the menu, you can have a variety of drinks as well as the Sachertorte and other meals. I had espresso, effectively, in a teacup. I felt well posh. You know, I'm from West London, I don't do posh. And the cake, or the Sachertorte, is divine. I have no other word to use to describe it than that. Divine. The chocolate is extremely rich. It's almost on a par with some of the chocolate I had in Mexico, so it's something that I couldn't eat a lot of, so I think the portion size was absolutely right. It costs around €7.50, which I think, you know, considering that it is a quite high-end establishment, you know, it's not too bad actually, and for the quality of it and the taste, I'm happy to pay that. So, you know, I was absolutely blown away by it. It really made my day. Sometimes when you know, sit at places like that, you think, oh God, was it worth coming in here? But absolutely, it was. So, yeah, go there when you come to Vienna. Beautiful. So that's my little trip to Vienna over with. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to hit the like button down below. If you've hated it, don't forget to hit the dislike button, and also don't forget to subscribe if you would like to see future videos from Austria. You can check out the playlist, which will be linked up above somewhere at some point. Now, obviously with Vienna, I've only been here one day. There's only so much I can possibly put in one video and actually physically do. So obviously there are so many more things you can do in this city. So why not, if you have been to Vienna, put down in the comments your favourite things to do in this city. That will really help out other viewers. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in Salzburg, which is where I'm going next. See you soon. Catch you later.